טוב, אנחנו ביוטיוב, יש כאילו מה זה קישור? מי שנכנס לערוץ שלנו כבר רואה.
You brought two sandwiches?
No, I didn't because I didn't know if you wanted tuna or egg salad. It's
okay.
literally just right there. You want me to go grab it for you? You can set your computer up? Yes.
Yes,
I said
okay.
yes,
That's
Ralph.
fine, yes. I was
Do
wondering.
not feel where,
Yeah, I was wondering where that was.
יאללה, לייב.
So what were the choices again?
שם פה כרגע. מה שאלת?
אתה יכול לשדר.
עובד, עובד.
עכשיו אני נכנס לערוץ.
לקרוס ישראל.
I know you just said it, but tuna or egg salad?
Tuna. Yep, that's fine. So are we not moving this until tomorrow or what?
Scott want to do it now. I'm waiting for someone to help me because
Yeah.
this is not something that
Yeah, but the game is too
very-
close.
No, we have to.
Yeah, because this game's about to begin. So basically, the second this game ends,
We try to do it
you have to do it in 10 minutes.
because it's still there. I want to do something else.
Yeah.
So our mission is to so we want to do it outside. Where's the guy Oh, so we hold on to this?
Yes. So one punch is a sandwich,
looks like an
one
old
punch is
sandwich.
three. Yeah. One punch is 3 pieces of fruit.
All right. Well, I'm sure if I ever ran out, I'll just ask for more, and it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah. He also gave us 75.
Yeah. So it's like, I would love to have the time to use them. Have that time.
Well, first of all, he's not going to do anything right now. Probably looks horrible, but been here. I've been here. Here, I have some water for this. Now it's not cold. Yeah, but it's water.
Think so? You think this game should be?
למה שאני נכנס ככה אני לא רואה. למה שאני נכנסתי לו חשבון בגלל שיש לי סיסמה.
לא, לא חשוב. אתה לא צריך להיות ליוזר כיוזר.
אז איפה אני רואה?
לדעתי תכתוב חיפוש לקורס ישראל מספיק, אם אתה מנוי, פריימר. אם אפשר להצטרף כאילו לערוץ, מה שנקרא. יש כרגע 46.
לא. כן. יש שם מקום. לא, אתה אותו, אתה לא
Our fun facts. Oh my gosh, you guys are
You
prepared.
guys are the most.
We're Switzerland.
We're Switzerland.
Wow. I mean, no wonder everyone gives really think about it.
Yeah, we organize it well.
Wait, we're not done yet. Oh, look at this. Look at your nice little notepad there. NEC girl.
We didn't have time for the pronunciations and the fun facts, but we'll do that.
Okay, yeah. All I need is just
But this was how, like, as an American, I would say their names.
Which is pretty incorrect, but
Which is
a new contract.
as close as humanly
See,
possible.
luckily he said
Salome Bamba.
Usually he says the name first, and then I feel it.
It's they
And
roll
then I
their
stick to
R's.
just the first name normally.
Yeah.
Oh, you should just go off of me and then.
Svetlana. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with Svetlana.
Yeah, they do these weird R rolls that all of us. Yeah, no.
Greece does the soccer stuff. We turn things into TZ into a job.
Yeah. Yep, there you guys go. So if you need anything else,
You guys rock, man.
see you guys later.
Yep, see you. Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
זה אפשר יהיה לעלות למעלה? מחר, כן, לא היום.
הוא רוצה שתעלה כמה שיותר מהר.
היום?
כן.
הציוד הזה לא מתפרק היום, אי אפשר. מצטער.
אוקיי.
אבל זה למחר.
מה שבא לך.
אני היום לא עולה לשם.
Once again, welcome to Netanya, Israel for the third game in the first full day of the 2019 Women's European Lacrosse Championship. I'm Ralph Bednarczyk, joined by the Greek development team head coach Steffi Samaras, who's with me in Netanya. They'll be the analyst for nearly all the games here. This is game number 4 out of 59 as Italy in the blue and navy just won the draw control against Latvia. Latvia in the white on maroon, and we're underway now in the immense heat in Netanya, with Italy, a team that has virtually all natives on their roster under Canadian, or rather, I should say British head coach Victoria Alexander. They're very happy about what they've built. They just have a total of 2 players that are Canadians of Italian descent, and the rest of the team all natives as Italy looks to build for the future. Latvia only with 1 player that's played through the United States. Latvia comes up with a takeaway on the ground ball, and they look for the clear. And Steffi, what do you look for as Italy's changed and turned the page on their past rosters? Latvia, big, strong bunch.
Well, you know, we talk about growth a lot and how all these countries are growing.
Well, here's a quick shot and a finish. Hold the thought. Yeva Opolska was able to get the feed, and she finishes high. Nelia Ostafchuk in goal for Italy. And Latvia, with a secondary break, has the lead at 1-0.
So growth has been a big, conversation piece as we have members from World Lacrosse here analyzing part of this event, just from the event standpoint. I think Italy, when you turn the page, you look at programs who have done it, and it's hard not to bring up a country like Israel or even Wales, that we were just having that conversation. And although Italy has had the same type of experience that Israel has had, they haven't been growing the game in their country the way that other countries have. And clearly that's been something that is changing the program for those particular countries. So as I've chatted with the Italian coaches, as we're staying at the same hotel this weekend, that's one of the focuses that they're looking to do over the next couple of years, building to the World Cup. And
they even have an alternate, get this, Steffi, a 14-year-old phenom does Italy have that is here on the trip, that is just learning, not playing, and they also have another high schooler. So Italy has really thought about the big picture as they have it behind. In goal is Liga Vilka for Latvia, number 1.
That doesn't surprise me about Italy, by the way. I feel like they're one of those countries, especially knowing Vic Alexander. She's always got something up her sleeve, which makes it really exciting to watch any of her teams play. So I'm excited to watch Italy for the first time.
Up top is Benny Rovelli. And down the right wing dodge, Beatrice Marginelli, and it's turned over. So Vilka, who's got her sister Yeva Vilka, they both own a pub in Latvia, which will be very popular Saturday night because they're hosting a watch party for Latvia's game that day. So Steffi, you and I will have a lot of good commentary, particularly during that. And we're told that drinks might actually be double rather than half.
Well,
that's good business,
always
though.
The best way to have a watch party.
Yeah.
So they definitely know about marketing.
Lavinia Jones, as she moved it along behind for 14 in blue. Adriana Santucci, she and her sister Bianca, both starting on the offensive end, and there's a finish. Adriana Santucci diving to the front of the cage, and she's one of the Canadian-Italian sisters, both from Vancouver, and they both have played at LIU Brooklyn at the Division I level.
Yeah, so her turn on the crease there was actually quite dramatic, which I like to see. If you can get your hip to turn on a defender and get her going the opposite direction that you're going, you're going to get some space in front of the cage, and you can tell just with that turn, she's able to get her stick around it and finish strong on the cage.
LIU Brooklyn will be merging and becoming the LIU Sharks, so it remains to be seen exactly what the makeup of that roster will be, but both Santucci's played there, recruited from Vancouver to New York City. We'll redo the draw, as that's Krista Brdina taking the draw, coming in off the bench for Latvia, and their head coach Gretchen Lazda, with her younger sister Rachel Lazda, a starting defender. And they're going to redo that draw control once again. For Italy, Beatrice Marginelli.
So remember, the draw has to go above the shoulders of the two girls who are taking the draw. If the ball doesn't do that, it's not considered a 50-50 ball, which you're trying to set the draw up to be an even ball for anybody to get.
Bianca Santucci came up with it. And then did we get an inadvertent whistle? And a warding call. Did I read that correctly, Steffi?
It's either a warding call or somebody was in early on the circle on the opposite side of the ball.
So it will be Latvia's possession. And Latvia with the clearance. Here's Yeva Vilka. She is one of the captains. As Yeva will drop it back. She was the one that explained to me how big of a night it's going to be at the pub that the two sisters own. On Saturday night, the 20th, Latvia is in this same time zone as Israel. So it'll work out well, and that's a shot that's going to count from the outside. It appeared like it was a pass, and it's going to be Laura Baltmane that's going to get credit for the goal, number 7. It looked like she was feeding Zhenya Matijevica. It never got to Matijevica. It caromed through and beats Ostafchuk. 2-1 Latvia.
I think Matijevica was actually screening the goalie, so she couldn't see the ball coming to her, and unfortunately that's one of those situations where it's going to be unfortunate for Italy, and now they have to bounce back.
So Laura Baltmane, she's got a 3-year-old, so she's a mom with a youngster back home, perhaps watching on the internet. Mom, we can says hello.
I love all the moms out here. That's what I'm talking about, ladies. Water break.
We will have our first water break quite early in this opening quarter. 2-1 Latvia with their first lead, and it comes here at the 7:53 mark unofficially of the opening quarter. So let's talk more about these two nations, as Latvia has a lot of veterans and under a coach and someone that I think you can go far as to say is a longtime friend of yours, Steffi, Gretchen Lazda. She's got 3 captains, and they even hosted their own tournament with 8 other countries represented. And I think, especially for a new country to be able to come up with the funding and the support to host a tournament, that in itself is such a big deal.
It's absolutely crazy. Gretchen happens to be somebody who runs large-scale athletic events in the United States, so she knows what she's talking about when it comes from an event perspective. And to be able to be a country that can raise the money to host something like that, as we've been around the Israel individuals running this event, and you were here last year, you got to see what the men's World Games were about here in Netanya. You know, it just goes to show how much pride certain individuals, and I feel like we've talked about this every game, and we'll continue to talk about it every game, the pride that these individuals have in their countries, and what they want to do. And this sport of lacrosse, I don't think it's spread unlike any other sport. It's probably like most sports. The love that you can have for a game can really change lives, and I think Gretchen is somebody who's been around the game in a lot of different ways. She was a great high school player, a great college player, and has been working and coaching high school. And then she's got this sister on the team who is also a great high school coach. So again, we talked about that player-coach aspect that we have a little bit of for Latvia as well.
And Gretchen Lazda, along with her sister Rachel, both from West Genesee, which is a high school power just outside of Syracuse, central New York. And they have their roots, they have Latvian roots, and what a moment it is, I think, for the two of them to reconnect with that and build something from scratch. And they have a 2-1 lead after the water break. So here's Italy with possession in the blue and black. And Gretchen went back and did a lot of work with training camps. They've put in a new riding system, a lot more sets. And I just got the sense, the way that Gretchen described it, that they're making real progress, that this is no longer coming out here and trying to work on stick skills, that now there's some nuances and some real structure being put in place in Latvia.
I think, I was there when you asked her the question about the team makeup, and if you can use the word veteran as a coach, then I think you're progressing your program the way that you want to progress your program. And she had no problems using that term.
Beatrice Marginelli taking the shot, and Italy has backup. So they'll reset just in the corner here with Bianca Santucci. Her sister Adriana has the lone goal for Italy. And the Italians set it up and hold it back behind with Lavinia Jones, as Lavinia looked to work it out in front. And she was pestered there by Rachel Lasda. Rachel, by the way, is engaged to be married. Congratulations to the coach of the prestigious Oak Knoll School in Summit, New Jersey. They are the reigning New Jersey Tournament of Champions winners. Feet in tight, what a pass. Slam dunk, Adriana Santucci. But she was set up beautifully. It is the first sister act from Bianca Santucci, 2-2.
That was a great two-man game on the crease. I love it when you can have the patience. And one of the best things that she did when she drew that extra defender on the crease, instead of backing out of that double team and going to what I like to call no man's land, which is not behind the crease, but not above the goal line, we consider that no man's land in women's lacrosse. But she exited that double team with her head up, and she went to the back of the crease, allowing that defender to have to make a second decision. Do I follow you behind the crease or do I stay in front? And that's when the pipe opened up for her feed.
Adriana was on the doorstep. Draw control belongs to Latvia. And the scoop pickup from Laura Baltmane. And here's Nicole Petroviskis. Settled back behind, Laura Liapina. Laura especially doing a wonderful job as our translator and especially pronunciation expert of her teammates. On the drive, Estere Orbanchika. And she is about to become an anesthesiologist, one of the better stories on this Latvian team from a personal standpoint. Unable to reach that ball is Liapina, and it's going to be Italy that forces the turnover.
Italy did a great trap right there up top, forcing the ball to the wing, which is probably, with how new Latvia is to the game, if they can get the ball going down the center of the field for an offensive drive, it's what they want to do. And this is that ride that Coach Laszlo is talking about. They've got everybody involved in this ride and are forcing Italy to pass the ball backwards.
And they get a drill check, but recovering the ball just bounced perfectly for Francesca Capriati. And Capriati bottled up. There is no failure to advance in women's lacrosse, but Latvia and their ride was relentless. Now they have a chance to break out ahead. As the pass was fed through for Elena Chabura, former basketball player coming up through Latvia that made the decision for lacrosse. And now the pickup for Liapina, and the Latvians do end up getting the ball back. It's a 2-2 game played primarily in the 6v6. And the hot temperatures, I think we reached, our high was supposed to be 92, but the humidity is really what does it on this turf field.
This is going to be that one game today where the mental focus is going to have to stay for 60 minutes. And we're taking a water break at the halfway mark of every quarter. I'm assuming that the breaks in between the quarters and at halftime might be a little bit longer. The girls are going to have to really make sure that they're hydrating. It's you can already start to see a little bit of wear and tear just from how long they've been out here warming up already. Latvia and Italy were both warming up during the last game.
And we've seen the difference it can make, particularly this morning, as England routinely ran a second midfield as Estere Orbanchika is able to circle. And up top it comes for Valeria Druzjaka. Italy is able to bottle up the Latvian attacker, as looking to split a double team was Elena Chabura. She'll go to the 8-meter for the first look there on free position.
I love what Latvia is trying to do. They're trying to get the defense going one way and have the cutter coming from the other side. I think the only thing that's hindering them a little bit is a lot of their off-ball attackers are watching what's happening between the ball carrier and who she's eventually going to feed it through. And the difference that you see between them and a team like England or Israel is that their offense is everybody's moving consistently. And that's just going to come with time.
Ostafchuk made the save on the free position on Chabora, but Latvia came up with the rebound. And they go back outside for Laura Baltmane. And Baltmane outside for Druziaka. And Druziaka, she, with a nice face dodge, the split dodge, got her to the front. She picks up shooting space. So Ostafchuk will be put to the test again. Nelia, as she explained to me before the game, she is an accountant for a major corporation back in Italy, so this is a welcome release for her to go play lacrosse. Down low, the shot, and it's pushed past. It trickles through her stick. Valeria Druziaka gives Latvia the lead back.
I think this is going to be a really interesting game from the coaching aspect of these two teams. They seem to be very evenly matched, so it's going to be potentially a game of finishing. First time I will say that it might not be a game necessarily based on the draw. I don't think it's gone in one team's favor necessarily, but how you can finish in this game, and as we've seen by both ends, not putting the other team on the 8-meter for the free position.
First free position finish. And Latvia looking to self-draw on the knockdown, Kristina Bredinja, and she comes up with it. And Bredinja on the outlet for Yeva Opolska. And Opolska is able to carry and look for something better with Latvia running some 6-on-6. And they'll flip it up top for Urbanchika. Urbanchika down low, tight quarters for the shot. That's a stop made by Ostafchuk. Laura Liapina had the look inside, and that's the end of the first quarter. Tight look there, and Ostafchuk had to make a couple of saves, including that one before the horn. But it is 3-2 Latvia at the end of one quarter of play. This is the third game out of 6 today from the first full day of the Women's European Lacrosse Championship.
I love the fact that Latvia, they seem to have no type of fear, and maybe it's because offensively they don't have the standard attacker that you would necessarily see or that we see on all these other teams. So they're literally just creating. And knowing Gretchen's style as a coach, although she's probably put sets in, she probably hasn't put a lot of plays in. She probably wants them to use this game specifically, knowing that she and Italy probably have a similar skill set. What can they create against a team like Italy on their own without having to use up all of their go-tos in the first game of the tournament?
Mm-hmm. And of course, so much is adjusting, but Gretchen Lazda feels that the strength of her team is in the midfield with the caliber of athletes she has that are big and strong and powerful, that can be ISO dodgers. And right here is what Gretchen was concerned about. Latvia's summers are very mild. Latvia is north of Lithuania. It's similar perhaps to the questions that Norway could have in Sweden, adjusting to the heat. That's what Gretchen Lazda was a bit concerned about. They have not yet played one game in any kind of elements like this, and how are they going to look on the third day, let's say on Thursday in their game? How is that going to be a factor on Friday? As they get through and feel maybe the wear of this?
Well, it's interesting that you said that because Latvia's team arrived yesterday, and I think they've only had one practice since they arrived, whereas Norway and Sweden have been here for 4 days, and they've had even some two-a-days to get used to the heat, which is probably done very specifically on their part to attempt to acclimate, if you can acclimate to this type of climate. I don't know if that's possible, potentially for the people who live in Israel.
Well, what is the best way, Steffi, to adjust to heat? You have to be here, but is there anything Latvia could do, or any other country can do in a different situation before you get here?
You know, the only thing I would say is getting your body potentially training in some form of sweats. It's not necessarily that you're dealing with the heat, but you're dealing with the fact that your body is perspiring so much and your water loss. I mean, we've been talking about mental focus in our first two games, so mental focus is really tied to hydration, and whether or not the water loss that's happening throughout the game can be controlled, if not counteracted by the amount of water that you take in. And I think that's one of the reasons why you can look at a team like England, full staff, physio, who is on top of the water intake of their players is one of the things I noticed during their game while they were on their bench. As their two midfield lines were coming in and out, they were requiring the girls to be intaking water. And that's going to be really key if you don't stay on top of that. I also think for it's how your body recovers from after this game. What do Italy and Latvia do to help their body recover? Because both, if not, play tomorrow, potentially in the same type of condition.
Yep, Latvia will take on the Netherlands tomorrow, and then they'll get a day off to take on Norway and Switzerland to round that group play. Meanwhile, Italy takes on Switzerland tomorrow. Or I should say, actually, Italy's first day off is actually tomorrow, the way it works out for Coach Victoria Alexander. So they play one, then they sit one before they take on Switzerland on Thursday, and then the Netherlands on Friday, and Norway on Saturday before going into the knockout stage. So it's a little bit different. So Italy probably would love to have played the back-to-back first. Latvia will get the 1 day off, and then 2 to close out the group. Second quarter about to begin, 3-2 Latvia.
Yeah, that goes. You bring up another point. When would you want your day off to be? And it's not something you can choose. Not something you choose, but when would you want your day off to be when it comes to an event like this, a heat like this, and the importance for some of these countries to perform. Maybe not potentially win, but perform to maybe get up into the A division of the next European Championships, or vice versa.
It'll be Yeva Opolska on the draw control for Latvia. This one volleyed back by Cristina Brodini off the circle, and it's going to belong to Italy. So the Italians draw the first possession. It's been a back and forth.
2-3.
First quarter.
Second quarter.
And here outside is Beatrice Marginelli. As I asked Victoria Alexander just about their approach, and I said, because it jumped out at me, is how native Italy was, and she said clearly this is by far their most native team, and Victoria's coaching experience, this is the most unique one she has had, because she was a member of the 2001 England national team, then went on to coach both England and Wales during different cycles, and those were usually much more experienced teams. So it's also a learning opportunity for Coach Alexander in terms of how you do this, and compared to her coaching background.
I remember watching her as a player in 2001 because England hosted the 2001 World Cup game, and my sister was playing for the U.S., and that England team that year was, I think they ended up coming in third behind U.S. and Australia. First of all, Vic Alexander is a beast on the field. She is amazing, and in watching her...
Hold a moment. Great switch to the left hand, Valeria Druzjaka. She's got the last two as she walked it to the front and beats Nelia Ostafichuk, 4-2.
Watching Coach Alexander with the Italian team, both on the field and off the field as they're staying in the same hotel with us, her interaction with the girls is constantly about teaching them more and more lacrosse. How can I give these girls more and more lacrosse? And that's probably something that's very new to her because she's used to being around and coaching girls who are consistently playing.
Druziaka with a pair. Beatrice Marganelli will try to come up with another draw control win for Italy. As she pushes it forward and then running through the ball, Bianca Santucci cannot come up with it in her cross, so it'll belong to Latvia. Laura Baltmane. And the forced turnover. Late check from behind, and Baltmane not able to get the pass ahead. So a good ride by the Italians, and they'll have it back.
I think the Italians are doing a really good job in their ride. I think they might be taking a few too many chances. If Latvia is able to switch fields, they could really expose their ride and create some fast breaks. But in this situation with the ball on the sidelines, why wouldn't you take that chance?
Latvia does get it back after Italy failed to get the next pass through in a clear. Now top again, Opolska. Baltmane. Settled into the stick of Valeria Druziaka. Latvia 4-2 over Italy with the second quarter just underway. 15-minute running clock, but we do have water breaks as a stoppage as well as any called timeout. The coaches have 2 apiece. And this pass sails away at Baltmane, and that's another unforced Latvia turnover.
You know, it's interesting. We've talked a lot about Germany's height, and we talked a lot about the height of Camilla Hayes. And hey, if Laura Merrifield were here in England, we'd be talking about England's height. But
yeah,
in looking at the field right now, Latvia, just as tall as Germany, just as athletic.
Now, Latvia with 4 players that came up primarily as basketball players. And when I asked Laura Liapina about that before they made the switch in their teenage years, still the majority of this team picked up the game in their late teenage years as like a secondary sport. Down the middle, and this pass off the stick, and it's going to be another failed clear for Italy as Lavinia Jones couldn't corral it. Chance to transition for Latvia. Baltmane.
This is when you like to
scoop.
see the captains sort of take over. There's a little bit of sloppy play. Again, mental focus. It's hot out here. They're going hard. We just see a little bit of sloppiness.
And Latvia will take some air out of the ball as they continue to nurse along this 4-2 lead. They've gotten good shots in tight. As the crease roll is shut down as Zhenya Matievica was looking to go and get topside. Now as Baltmane has it, what is the call here? It's a call against Italy, so it'll be a brief advantage now for the Latvians. There's some room here for Druziaka. Or actually, they'll put it into the stick of Baltmane. And she had some options there, but instead we'll look to run some more focused offense. Then the shot, and Ostapchuk is able to make the save. It comes off the stick. Matievica was the shooter. The pickup just inside the 8-meter for Latvia.
Latvia's great movement around the cage. The only thing that they're doing is trying to pass through the double team instead of back out of it and pass over top of the double team.
Transition for Bianca Santucci. Chance to run, Lavinia Jones. And a good challenge there, knocking that pass away. A good job defensively for Latvia by Elina Ruperte, another former basketball player.
I think this is a little bit of the youth coming out in both teams. You know, they have no idea that they're wide open and they could potentially go to cage. So as an attacker or midfielder, they pull out. When in reality, they're not testing Italy's defense the way that they could. And Italy's doing a little bit too much of ball watching. If Latvia could take advantage of those back doors on the crease, I think they could probably sneak one in there.
Estere Urbanchika found herself all alone. She picks up a shooting space call. And the bouncer is over the cage of Ostafichuk. So good luck on free position for Dr. Estere Urbanchika. Latvia had backup. And here's Rachel Lazda. Coach Rachel Lazda is going to get a run here on offense in a breather. Inside crease roll and a good job turning down the shot. Now Chabora off the stick fakes. Cut to the front, and that one cannot be executed. Urbanchika was the cutter. And the ground ball belongs to Italy. And can they get the clear as Erica Bolinas had it? But then Lazda with the check. Bolinas knocks it out, and it's going to stay with Latvia.
Latvia did a really good job there on that ride. I was pretty surprised. You know, a lot of people forget that now in women's lacrosse, and I say now, although it was a long time ago to a lacrosse player, but now in women's lacrosse we have these hard boundaries. So it's interesting when you have a coach focus on using the hard boundary as another defender, which is why riding has become such a big thing in women's lacrosse. It's always been a thing in men's lacrosse, and now we have this huge focus on it. We want attackers to be somebody who can ride just as well as that they can attack. And you're really starting to see some of the speedier teams use the boundary because they can use it as an extra defender. They can come up with a double team or a triple team just by riding the ball to the sideline.
Ostapchuk just made the save, then another quick stick finish. What a pass. There's Rachel Lazda getting the feed from behind from Eugenia Matievica. Fine pass, and it's 5-2.
Rachel's timing on that cut was just spectacular. She'd had two cutters in front of her go through to sort of sweep open that space, and she was able to basically just get in there, sneak in there behind, and the height of the individual feeding the ball just puts the defender at a disadvantage when you're feeding the ball over the cage. You don't actually have to fake as much as somebody who is probably not that tall.
So Rachel Lazda, who starts defensively, takes a timeout after capturing the New Jersey Tournament of Champions crown in the first week of June, and now comes up with a goal in her first game in Latvia. Terrific assist came from the stick of Eugenia Matievica. So we get our designated water break. Latvia's opened up a 5-2 lead in the first game for both sides in this European Women's Lacrosse Championship. Rachel Lazda, of course, the younger sister of her head coach, Gretchen, but Rachel's also a coach herself. So those are two great mentors for this Latvian team to use as pillars to build the program. The other assistant you're a little bit more familiar with.
No, I'm familiar with Gretchen. I don't actually know their male assistant. I believe he's from California. Mm-hmm. But Gretchen and Rachel have done a really good job of understanding, one, the fact that they've charged themselves really. And it's unique. We talk about, this is one of the first games where I believe we have sister pairs on each team. Mm-hmm. It's really fun to see some of these sister pairs play with each other, because I don't believe Gretchen and Rachel were able to play with each other in high school. I think there's enough of an age difference where they never got to play with each other. So I think there's another experience that, hey, Gretchen might not be playing with Rachel, but she's coaching her. Mm-hmm. So that could also be a little fun, sister, who's actually in charge.
Oh, I'm
We're both
sure.
coaches.
Yeah, I am absolutely sure. And who gets the credit for the wins and the losses is another discussion. Out of the water break, Latvia has been able to ride Italy well and then get enough quality shots through to build this 5-2 lead. Italy with all kinds of problems clearing the ball and transitioning it to get their offensive look and get the Santucci's involved. In this case, Italy will put up Adriana Santucci for the draw control. Bianca is off the circle, and Bianca comes up with it. Bianca Santucci into the 8, takes the shot on the move. Maybe had enough time and room for another step or two,
Yeah.
and perhaps was expecting a shooting space.
You know, when you watch the big time attackers play, they have this fluidity to their stick, and that's something that Bianca definitely has. I think she probably thinks, hey, a lot of what Italy does is gonna fall on her, but she just needs to get into the rhythm of the game and understand what she can do from up top. She's clearly going to be an attacker who's going to be able to drive from everywhere because of the fact that her stick skills are so developed.
Santucci, Adriana Santucci, and a save is made inside. Almost handcuffed Liga Vilka, but she comes up with it. An aggressive step to the crown of her crease, and Adriana Santucci could not bury it. Latvia looks for the clear. Krista Bredinja, and it comes down through the middle for Yeva Vilka. Bredinja into the box for Latvia as they finish off the clear with a 5-2 lead.
I knew coming here that there was going to be a major difference, and one of the differences I'm seeing from the game that's played in the United States and the game that's being played here is you don't really get the attackers involved in the transition of the ball. It's really the job of the defenders and the midfielders to get the ball into their offensive unit. That could be a numbers thing, but also I think it's now the back and forth of the game and the fact that you have basically 3 sets of midfielders on the field.
Oh, what a bounce shot. Turning the corner, Estere Urbanchika. That was a hard bouncer that got up there, just tucked inside the crossbar on Nelia Ostafichuk. 6-2 Latvia.
I think that was a little bit of a product of Italy doing some ball watching. They were not aware of the girl off ball who ended up getting it and driving to cage, and then those high bouncers, they can be a nightmare for some goalies.
Urbanchika really used the turf to her benefit there, slamming it with appeared like the intent to tuck it inside the crossbar. So Estere Urbanchika. And she increases this run to 4 for Latvia. We were tied at 2 late stages of the first quarter. Now Adriana Santucci for Italy. And draws against Latvia's Valeria Druziaka. It'll be Italy possession. Both Santucci's consistently on the circle, with them being the most lacrosse experienced players. Bianca Santucci splits a double, continues, and finishes the shot. Big mistake by Latvia. They had a double, well timed, but then backed off at the absolute worst. First for Bianca Santucci at 6'3".
That was like the epitome of patience. She waited. She had the double team on her, and then she split them because she saw separate. The timing of that too. Right as the defender was taking the step away from her, she charged right back through that double team and was able to find the open lane to cage. I love the attackers that can just sit there with the confidence and the possession of the ball in their stick and wait that extra second. They say defenders don't want to wait too long. They just want to get the ball now, and they say the best attackers are the attackers that just have that patience to let the play develop.
And here in the Euros and at the FIL World Cup, there is no shot clock. So these players in the NCAA that have been adjusting to the quicker tempo of the overall 90-second shot clock, both in the men's and women's sides, they don't have that here. There's no rush.
Yeah, it's a completely different game plan when you come to international play. Now you can run longer sets. You can take time off the clock. You can, depending on the situation of the game, create a whole nother aspect.
Urbanchika, and she's fouled as she got a step on the defending Vivian Vitali of Italy. So Urbanchika, and this should be a free position straight on. Urbanchika, and then she was cut off, so decided against the shot. Good collapsing defense there from Italy, as getting a quick step to get in front of her was Francesca Capriati. Mattia Vicia, and could not turn the corner. Patience out to Laura Baltmane. And then the pass through, Bianca Santucci came up with it momentarily. Italy trying to come up with it. That's the end of the second quarter. So we've reached halftime. 6-3 is our score. Latvia so far finishing their shots at a higher percentage. Their size and strength has showed itself in this third game of the first full day of the Women's European Lacrosse Championship. We'll be back on YouTube in about 15 minutes to bring you quarter number 3.
עכשיו השקף הלבן שמתי. מה אתה אומר?
זה מה שסיכמנו?
אין משהו אחר להראות. זה סתם להראות? שמיים?
של הסקוט.
בעיקרון השידור ממשיך. יש עכשיו גם את הסאונד פה פתוח.
יש לך קלוזאפ על הלוגו הזה? ממול?
לא יודע כמה, אני לא יכול לסגור עד הסוף.
ננסה לראות אם אתה מגיע עד לשלט הכתוב הזה.
בוא נראה קודם בווידאו.
יש?
אפשר.
Hey guys. How's it going? I've been to the hospital.
What?
She's been in the hospital for a few days. This is a bacterial infection. And she's not really antibiotics. But we think it's a mistake because if she had a blood infection, she would be super sick. But yeah, let me go see if
Yeah?
still won't let me see. They probably got the antibiotics.
באמת, אתה יודע? זה אסור לחלוטין. R-O-F-F-E.
Returning to Netanya, Israel, Ralph Pinarchik with Steffi Samaras, head coach of the Greek national development team, who's playing in the festival games prior to these tournament games for the European Women's Lacrosse Championship. Third quarter begins, 6-3 is the score, Latvia leading Italy. This is the third game out of 6 we'll be bringing you on this first full day, and game number 4 out of 49. Italy comes up with the draw control, and let's start with Coach Victoria Alexander. What do you think she emphasized for Italy as they trail 6-3? They've hung around despite not playing the cleanest first half.
I think for them it's a possession aspect of the game that they want to do. They're not in a hurry to score necessarily, but they want to make sure that the chances that they're taking are the best possible chances. They have some great sticks.
Like this one here, Bianca Santucci. Oh, you saw her turn it on and find the opening. That's a strong opening possession for the Italians. It's 6-4.
Her change of speed is just absolutely crazy. And you can see her last goal was from up top. Now she used the crease to almost screen the goalie with her own defender and the defender that was on the ball. And the speed at which she took that, I don't think the Latvians could slide fast enough to get to her.
Second for Bianca Santucci to go along with an assist. Adriana has tallied the other 2 goals, so the sisters have complied the offense for Italy. As the draw control comes across the restraining line, and Yeva Vilka is able to corral the ground ball. Then if you're Latvia coach Gretchen Lazda, you had chances. You could create some real separation, but it was just 6-3 at the break.
I think the possession time is completely gone in Latvia's way in this game, but it's turning possession into goals. That's going to be really important for Coach Lazda, and hopefully that's something that she talked to them about at halftime. They don't have a fear of going to cage, which is great, but I think it's more of the skill at which they're trying to do it is allowing Italy to crash. I mean, Italy's getting almost 4 players on the ball, which tells me that Latvia is doing a good job of moving the ball, but that last pass needs to be moved a little bit quicker.
A look at free position and a deliberation, but eventually pulled back by Laura Liapina of Latvia. Then a throw back to the crease. Catch was made with the flag out and then passed off, so we should get a free position for Zhenya Matievica. So they should put Matievica somewhere in the left wing. Nelia Ostafchuk.
And this is something that Coach Alexander might have had a conversation with Italy about at halftime. That when you have the ability to have your entire defense crash that dramatically, you end up putting the other team on the 8-meter more than you would like because of the speed of your defenders.
Save is made, though, on the shot. Matievica right at the stick of Ostafchuk. And Ostafchuk able to control the rebound, but the redefend by Latvia, they come up with a takeaway. Settled and back behind, Yeva Opolska takes it back, and the flag is out. The foul came against Italy. So it will be Yeva Opolska that they'll put behind GLE. So she may have the advantage. Latvia's lead has been trimmed to 6-4. And actually now they put Liapina in the other corner before she sprints out. Orbanchika. Right hand sweep, Opolska. And an off-ball foul against the Italians.
Again, that's just a little bit of ball watching by the Italians. Getting caught in 3 seconds because you're ball watching.
Feed in tight. Ostafchuk makes the save. Liapina, another look right at the stick, though. Latvia, third chance during this possession.
Latvia is doing a really good job of the looks that they have on cage. They've taken 4 shots so far in this possession and been able to get the ball back. And I think all 4 shots have been really great possessions. Now they have to go a step further, maybe throw a fake on the goalie so they can actually score.
Latvia getting the courtesy of a foul call. Looked like it would have been a deflected pass that would have been a turnover. Long possession for the Latvians. Can they pay it off? Urban Chika stands here 21 and wide on the near left wing. And she's going to have some options with Liapina right in front, potentially. Urban Chika, hard dodge, and she got Ostafchuk, I think, in the chest of the shoulder. And then the call will go against Latvia. Perhaps in the crease or interfering with the goalie Ostafchuk. In any event, Italy finally will get the stop that they were hoping for.
So this is the first time we've seen this under move that we've seen by Israel as well as England used well, and done from the top left corner by a righty. It's really important that you draw the defender high. Latvia is having a hard time with that because they're not faking the defender out enough to draw her high and bite her so you can actually pull underneath you. Italy's defenders are doing a pretty good job of riding the attacker all the way to the crease, and then their goalie's coming up with the save.
Erica Molinas made a good move, but then ran into too many Latvians. And the ball on the ground again. And Italy trying to finish a clear. Capriati. And uses the width of the field well. And the drop-off back for Mariangela Alvino. Alvino, one of the starting defenders. And Alvino, again, the ball sticking to her stick. And she ran into too many white shirts. So here comes Urban Chika. Down low it came. A finish for Latvia. Laura Liapina, nearly a dangerous propel as she got the defender Alvino just on the tail end of her finish. It is going to count, and Liapina makes it 7-4.
That Latvia goal was purely because their ride stayed with the ball the entire time. Interestingly enough, you normally see midfield lines who drop back automatically from a ride standpoint, and this Latvia midfield line almost held their line at the 50 and wouldn't let Italy cross it, which is what caused that turnover and that fast break.
Water break called here midway through the third quarter at 7-4 as we're in the late afternoon, and very necessary, though finally, Steffi, the shadows have engulfed us from the building, so afternoon is just about set, and then we'll see what the lights or what everything will look like under the lights. Next game will be at 5:40 local time. Switzerland and the Netherlands. We got a chance to speak to Julie Duffy, who is the head coach of Merrimack College in Massachusetts. And Julie Duffy, I think, is first of all, it was a pleasure speaking to her this morning. And I'm really fascinated to see what kind of team she has.
You know, she was charged with helping Merrimack transition from Division II to Division I in the States. And, you know, she's got one of those personalities where you can sit and joke with her and have a lot of fun, and then she can turn serious on a dime, which will be really exciting to see how that Swiss team does. And, you know, I would say one thing I know about her from a coaching standpoint, her team will be prepared. Whatever they go into, they will be prepared.
And she has a great blend of veteran players, but also some players with some youth. And Switzerland does have several long-standing club teams that they're able to pull from that make up the bulk of the Swiss roster. So that's coming up after this one, Switzerland and the Netherlands. Then at 8 o'clock Israeli time, the Czech Republic and Austria. And the nightcap all the way at 10:20 local time, Finland and Sweden. And those are two developing countries in Group C that are happy to be here and looking for some wins and to take the next step as Latvia is able to come up with the latest draw control. Alina Chibura legged it forward.
I'm hoping that Latvia can come out of this water break with a nice set play. Using the two-man game, they have some great speed coming from behind the crease.
Petroviskis feet in tight, and that's a finish, a turnaround shot. What a cut from Estere Urbanchika.
And we just talked about the two-man game. I didn't think it was going to happen that quick, but you know that's one of those cuts coming across the cage, and you know that you're going to catch the ball and roll back to your right. It's just a matter of where your defender is going to be when you do that, and with her speed and the way that she was able to plant and turn on a dime, her defender had no chance.
Estere Urbanchika tallies for the second time. She leads Latvia. So Latvia has matched its largest lead. And they come up with the ensuing draw control. Bredinia. And a lot of room, no pressure for Valeria Druziaka. She's also got a pair. Looking to roll here, Nicole Petroviskis. Baltmane. Alina Chibura. Latvia's shown the ability to move the ball around. This is a jump shot in tight. Ostapchuk made the save. Ambitious shot from Nicole Petroviskis.
You know, something that Latvia is doing on offense is what you would call basic. You know, they're running a simple next to ball going through and opening up the lane for the ball carrier. And although it's simple, it's working.
Petroviskis had the drop off pass for Bredinia. Latvia keeps it, and now it's to take the takeaway. Ostapchuk able to come up with the save. And now Nelly Ostapchuk may try to clear the ball herself and try to direct through. We could hear her from here. Italy's had problems running into a wall of Latvian players, and here they overthrow the next pass. That one just sailed on Giulia Geri.
And if you look at Latvia, how they're set up, they're almost set up in between the two restraint lines. Italy has a man open all the way down the field, but they can't get past those three Latvian walls.
And Latvia has virtually been on offense this entire third quarter. We'll tell you about their new goalie once we have a second on the other end. Latvia looks for some more. Petroviskis, who is from the Chicago area. Nicole Petroviskis shooting, did not play in college, played in high school. Ostapchuk makes the save.
And here we're going to hopefully see Latvia's ride again. And Italy allows them to set up. And as you can see, they're zoning this. So this is a zone ride by Latvia. We haven't seen this at all yet so far this event.
That one deflected out by Petroviskis. And that time, Ostapchuk started to come out to her own 8 meter to at least challenge the ride. And Italy is trying to run through it too many times. Francesca Capriati will have it. It's time she completes the pass, and here comes Italy into the box, Francesca Pucci. Pucci, who attends high school and lives in the UK, but of course of Italian descent. So she qualifies to play for Italy. And now the Italians can run some 6-on-6 for the first time since the Bianca Santucci goal. New goalie in for Latvia is 16-year-old Linda Nutere. And she is a lefty goalie. We saw the starter in there, Liga Vilka, but Nutere, of course, has a significant future, and I'm sure Gretchen Lasda is salivating with the potential of having a lefty goalie to mold. Adriana Santucci, inside, dropped it off for sister Bianca. It looked like Adriana would get stuffed on a shot. Instead, she passed it up to her sister. 8-5.
Again, I know one of the big themes has been patience, but I think Adriana had a double team on her there, and because of backing out of that double team with her chest up, she could actually see her sister on the crease. And coaches sometimes get really scared when you make those really close passes on the crease because the potential of the goalie becomes a factor. But again, the stick work of the two sisters for Italy was something that was allowing them to get that goal.
Well, they've both been brilliant. Third of the game for Bianca Santucci. And can Italy get some other production from someone not named Santucci in this tournament? And racing in there, it was Benny Ravelli. And Ravelli is going to come up with a draw. Ravelli. And this is the ground ball collected by Baltmani. Notice, Steffi, a good number of the Latvians don't wear the eye goggles as we get a... Let's see if this is a water break of the third quarter.
End of the third quarter.
Oh, it's the end of the third. 8-5 is the score. And Latvia continues to lead. I noticed the Latvians, many of their players, I believe, do not wear the eye protection. The majority, I think, of the Italy team does. Those rules are not yet in place compared to the NCAA. I think Latvia is the first team I've seen that hasn't worn them.
It's highly suggested that they're worn in all competition, but it was literally right before you asked me that question, I was going to mention about the Latvian attackers. One thing I think they do a really good job of when they catch the ball on their offensive end of the field, the first thing they do is look up and scan the entire field to see where their next potential pass is to a teammate. And that's something that when you think about that from a coaching standpoint, okay, they're automatically thinking about the fast break. And then one of the big things now, and we've really only seen a couple of teams do it, Israel's done it and England has done it, but going from a fast break to a slow break is something that's really important.
So the fourth quarter is going to begin in a moment. Do you think that the eye goggles, it's a visionary thing for Latvia? We're going to have to ask Gretchen Lasda about that tomorrow. How she handles that as a coach, because there is a safety issue, but if her players are more comfortable seeing the entire field that way, that's a tough tug of war.
I don't know. It becomes the best practice of the individual, I think, because putting on goggles, you lose them after the first few minutes. So I don't necessarily, maybe your peripheral vision, it can slightly affect. I will say that, when it comes to goggles, there are specific brands that fit specific people. So you see a lot of the college university teams in the United States where they might be sponsored by SDX, and you have a couple of the girls that have De Beer goggles on because their heads just don't fit the SDX goggles. So personal preference is probably one of those things when it comes to goggles, and I'm not necessarily a fan of personal preference when it comes to all this stuff, but you have the funky sticks now, you have the funky mouth guards, and now we got the funky goggles. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's best for you? And internationally, they give you the choice. In the United States, you don't have the choice. You have to wear them.
Yeah, I would wonder if the college rules would allow a choice which teams would, which programs would continue to wear them, which ones wouldn't continue to wear them.
I hate to say this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to say it. I think if you look at the newer programs coming up and the control that some of these athletes can now have over their bodies, that was one of the issues of, and the reason for the goggles, not necessarily for the protection of your eyes, although it's there for that, but it was because the control aspect from opposing teammates, that there was a lack of that. Just like mouth guards are not there to protect your teeth, they're there to prevent concussions. Something completely different than what mainstream people think that they're used for. Goggles are the same way. I think you can play a very controlled game of lacrosse and still have the rough and tough aspect without the need for goggles.
I'll take a quick look and a scan to see if anybody is wearing the goggles. Once Latvia comes out here for the fourth quarter, 8-5 is the lead for Latvia. The Latvians will take on the Netherlands, who play next, coming up against the Swiss, and then Latvia will finish up against Norway, and then Switzerland to conclude their portion of this Group C schedule. This tournament is structured by Groups A, B, and C. Group C being the newer programs or developmental programs that are still looking to climb the ranks, and Group A, the European Championships, are considered the best ones and the most established. England, Ireland, Wales, etc. that comprise that 6-team bracket. Linda Nutere back in goal. She's gotten the bulk of the work in goal for Latvia in the second half, so the 16-year-old gets a chance to have her feet wet and perhaps close out a Latvian win at the European Championships.
Yeah, and if that's something that she's able to do, that's a huge confidence booster, especially for a young goalkeeper.
And most coaches usually bring young players along not to sit on the bench in these situations. If you're going to come here and invest your time, has to find balance because you have veterans that may be playing for the final time. As Bianca Santucci comes up with it. Good pass and a quick stick. What a finish. Lavinia Jones. One of the best finishes we've seen today. Bianca Santucci, and it was a pass on the run on the money. 8-6 to open the fourth.
I mean, that was so fast I missed it. And I think it was because of Bianca's speed that led into it. But that was an amazing finish. Latvia was not prepared for that.
And how about the pass on the move from Bianca Santucci? Nutere had no chance.
We were talking about the youth of Latvia's goalie, but you know, it's interesting. Depending on what your goals are for your national team, you know, and again, this is one of those touchy subjects, but your goal might not be to win the Europeans. Your goal might be to perform here and focus on the World Cup in 2 years. And that sounds strange to some people, but it's about how you want to build your program and how quickly you want to see the success of that.
As a fine balance, because you have players that have been a part of the program that invest their time and their money to be here. They want to win. They want to have something to show for it, or place the highest they've been. Sweep across, Ravelli. So Italy a chance to cut it to a 1-goal game, despite all the time that they've spent playing defense. Big possession here, Bianca Santucci. It's an open cut, but it's just off the stick. She had an open cutting. Vivian Vitali was going to walk in all alone. And now can Latvia clear through Nutere?
And interesting, now Italy has gone to a zone ride.
Lavinia Jones knocks it out of bounds. It'll stay pointed to Latvia. Latvia with Urbanchika. And she's finally stopped as she approached the 8. It's been a pretty clean game, not a whole lot of free positions, no yellow cards. But this is the closest game we've had into the fourth quarter, Steffi.
Yeah, and I tell you the truth, with the speed that Italy has in their offensive end, if they're able to get possession of the ball.
Oh no, it's an own goal. Italy tried to throw it back. Vivian Vitali, she was aiming to get it back to her goalie, Nelia Ostafchuk, and she put it in her own net. 9-6 Latvia. Vitali visibly upset. The goalie Ostafchuk maybe made a late break to get out of cage to be the outlet. They were not on the same page, and Vitali put it in.
You know what? It happens to the best of defenders, and that is just a mental breakdown in the heat of a game, especially in the heat of a close game.
Bianca Santucci. Santucci shooting from the angle, gets the goal back. What a lift that is for the Italians. 9-7.
And that's what teammates are for. When bad things happen, you always have somebody on the other end that's supporting you and picking it back up, and Bianca was able to do that.
What a bounce back for Italy, and a goal that may mean more than just one on the scoreboard. Draw control forced to the restraining line. Jones thought she might have had the player offsides, but instead Bianca Santucci raced in. Pass in front to her sister Adriana, stuffed inside Nutere. Nutere matchsticks. Recovery behind Adriana Santucci. Adriana Santucci looking to crease roll hard, but she's walled off there. Good, strong, stout defending by Rachel Lasda, who was planted there like a brick wall.
I love watching that type of defense. And you can see it again, this probably a bad description, but when you can see an attacker bounce off of a defender, that defender has owned their space and they do not want you to come in. And it's just one of those defensive stops that reverberates around the entire defense. And I don't know if you saw what Latvia's defense did. It's almost like they just flexed.
And almost deflating at times for offenses. Lavinia Jones, trail check by Rachel Lasda, but they call her for the foul. So Lavinia Jones will be at the top of the 8-meter. Italy, still plenty of time remaining in this fourth quarter. We have not yet had the water break yet. We're at 10 minutes. Jones, bouncer, and Nutere got it off the helmet, and she's got it in her stick. Couple of saves here in the sequence for 16-year-old Linda Nutere.
This could end up coming down to the last few possessions of the game, and we'll see Italy potentially go into a full-out defensive get, or what I like to call a get. They want to go out and get the ball pretty much because they're down by 2 with around 10 minutes to go.
Bradinia, good work on the clear for Latvia. And the Latvian offense that, for a while, first half plus, was getting quality chances consistently. But not much since in their last several possessions. Liapina.
This is what I love about these types of events, though. So Italy's just coming into their own, and it just happens to be the fourth quarter of the game. Latvia came out strong. You know what? They haven't been here as long as Italy, so they're probably they already probably had their shock factor, and they've just been performing the entire game. And, you know, it also might be Coach Alexander's way of saying, hey, let's get into this a little bit slower than the rest of the teams.
Good weave through, but Druzjaka could not finish the shot. Down low at center slant. Ostafchuk makes the save high. Matijevica, the shooter for Latvia. Ostafchuk will go long on the clear. Pass could not be received by Francesca Pucci. But we'll get the whistle and we'll get the water break of the fourth quarter. Italy will have another opportunity to draw within one. The Italians look like they could be decimated following an own goal that made it 9-6 before Bianca Santucci answered in the immediate seconds after. And this is the closest game so far to the four that have been here at the European Women's Lacrosse Championship from Netanya, Israel. What a first day of 6 games. The first 3 days will have 6, and the fourth day on the 19th will have just 5. The tournament culminates with the championship game the night of July 25th. So Latvia's offense, what do you make of what's happened there? They have not scored since Orbanchika made it 8-4. That was midway through the third quarter.
You know, they're getting the ball around the cage really well, but it's almost like they've lost that fear or the non-fear of going to cage. They haven't actually taken a shot yet. And all of their cutting motions and their ball movement has been away from the crease instead of towards the crease. So that tells me that maybe they don't want to shoot. And then you see the opposite happening with Italy and their speed and their get up and go to cage.
Play will restart with Italy at midfield, Francesca Pucci holding it. Pucci sees the opening. And with long strides, gets through. Pucci the drop-off. Adriana Santucci shot off cage. As Adriana chases, she's going to get back up.
I loved seeing Latvia's goalie chase down that ball behind the cage. Very rarely do you see that. That's a 16-year-old.
Now Nutere has to scramble back. But Italy will try to run their offense with Latvia now extending a little bit more. Vitali. Up top it comes. Room to try to get through that 12-meter momentarily for Marginelli, but turned over by Italy. Lazda. And Lazda got it ahead for Krista Bridina. 9-7.
I think Latvia needs to attack the cage here. Sitting back may allow Italy to take advantage of this offense if they aren't going to attack.
No shot clock again in the FIO rules, so Latvia can be very patient here. We've already passed the midway point of the fourth quarter with the water break. Both coaches still have both timeouts.
A timeout might be key for actually either team right now. Calming down Latvia and picking up Italy. Changing up a defense, potentially. At some point in the next minute or two, Italy's going to have to come out and pressure the ball.
Orbanchika took it in tight. Ostapchuk. Again, she's been able to see the ball a little bit better, but a number of shots, Steffi, have been right to her stick by Latvia over the last half hour of play.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's probably a shot selection that Coach Laza would have wanted Latvia to take there. Hardly an angle. Italy's goalie coming up with some saves, especially in this half so far. Again, they're in a situation where they have possession of the ball, little pressure.
Vitali had her pocket picked. Well-timed, clean check by Orbanchika, who's played a strong all-around game.
100% agree, but now Italy's got to come out and get this ball. They're going to want to become a defense that takes the ball away from Latvia now. And I know that sounds weird when you say, well, isn't that what the defense is supposed to do? No. They're actually just supposed to stop the attack from shooting. Different defenders do different things, but now Italy's going to have to throw some pressure, potentially start guarding the ball behind, throwing some double teams on the ball. But with almost under 5 minutes to go and down 2 goals, Latvia should be starting to feel a little bit more defensive pressure.
5 minutes remaining. Can Latvia get what might be an insurmountable 3-goal lead? Can Italy get the stop as the shadows creep through into the 8-meter of the Italians?
And this might be another situation for Latvia that Latvia needs to learn. They may have never been in this type of a situation with a few minutes left in a game, up by 2. It's harder to maintain a lead than it is to catch up, in my opinion. It's the whole David and Goliath thing. You have nothing to lose, so you start taking more chances, and it's harder in those situations.
There is a chance taken after a spin. Krista Bradina might have done enough to carry Latvia home. 10-7 on the unassisted finish.
And the biggest difference in that shot for Latvia of the ones we've seen before that is she shot the ball low. Italy's goalie's been making all the saves high, and now we see what is potentially a timeout by Italy.
And indeed, that's what Victoria Alexander does. Timeout for Italy, trailing 10-7. They need to come up with the draw. They have about 4 minutes remaining. And Latvia, credit Krista Bradina, who saw the right side open, and with some courage taking the shots. And that area of learning how to win games, Steffi.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that in itself could be something that is offered to pursue for a master's or doctorate degrees.
You know, it's one of those things where you. So I'm a believer in the underdog, and I like the underdog aspect, and sort of a lot of the prep we do with the different teams that I coach is somewhat of playing the role of the underdog, because even the teams on top can still take that type of mentality, and Latvia probably has always played that role. To them, the last time they saw Italy, it was a completely different team.
Yeah.
So now they're in a 3-goal lead, and do you switch your mentality? Knowing the work that Coach Laza has done with this team is probably a lot of, to take a line from my sister, and Gretchen has worked with my sister a lot, in the face of fear, how do you have brave action instead of fearful action? And whether you're up or down, having the underdog mentality is something that has you take brave action in those moments. So can Latvia maintain and rise above? And can Italy come back?
Significant draw control. This might be the game for the Italians. And Coach Victoria Alexander hopes for the proper bounce, and they do get it. Tough ground ball there, being ridden all the way is Benny Ravelli.
I'm surprised that Latvia is pressuring the ball out as high as they are, but this could also work in their favor.
Pass for Bolinas. Came off her stick. Capriati saw a path momentarily. She's the defender. Drops it off for Marginelli. In tight Jones, and that one hit Piper. How it rebounded. Nutere, though, aggressively out of cage. And to her offhand, her pass was deflected. Adriana Santucci. And Lazda is going to trust the 16-year-old to start the clear in what might be the final one that takes Latvia home with a win.
I love the fact that this 16-year-old is not playing like a 16-year-old. And she has the confidence to come out of the cage and, act as the 10th field player. If you can have a goalie that does that, you're putting yourself in a different league.
Yeah,
I love seeing Latvia doing that.
Yeah, just the actions of Nutere, you can see why she is here today, regardless of the goals allowed. But
yeah, she's definitely held her own, and showed that she's supposed to be here from a skill standpoint.
Well, Italy now is denying all the way around, and we'll watch for Nelia Ostafchuk. Will she come out of cage?
And this will be interesting. So now Italy trying to get the ball back. Remember, we talked about the sidelines being an extra defender, but in this case, if Italy can get some of their players up to the restraining line, the restraining line can also act as a potential, not defender, but a way for a trap to happen.
Latvia, though, throws it away. Italy trails 10-7, and we're approaching quickly 2 minutes to go. Lavinia Jones. Across for Bolinas, who makes the catch through the sun. Erica Bolinas. And looks for someone on the offensive end to help her out. Italy needs some shots quickly. It is Lavinia Jones. And she takes the sharp angle shot. Italy gets a quick reset. Well, we're going to hit 1 minute.
I'm really impressed with Latvia's pressure. You normally, in this situation, you would see the winning team's defense sit back, and I love the fact that they're not doing that.
Santucci, determined crease roll, and somehow it stayed out. Look at Nuteri out of cage come up with it. And Nuteri drops it back for the defense. Latvia is just a few seconds away. Bradinha. That's it. Nuteri closes off a fine win. Somehow the ball stayed out. The goalie came up with a ground ball. Latvia all over to hug their 16-year-old keeper. And maybe the first of many victories. It's a 10-7 finish. Latvia over Italy.
I love the fact that Latvia is, excited, and you can see how pumped they are for the fact that they've just had this young goalie in the cage, and she's performed on somewhat of a world stage. I mean, I know we're just at Europeans here, but holy cow. And to come out of the cage, that's probably the most active goalkeeper we've seen so far.
Easily. And someone that is clearly must be watching hours of content on the internet to be able to do that. Congratulations to Linda Nuteri and Latvia, 10-7. They are victorious today. They got 2 goals apiece from Estere Urbanchika and 2 from Valeria Druziaka. The Santucci sisters led Italy. Bianca Santucci had 4 goals and a pair of assists, and sister Adriana Santucci also tallied twice. 10-7 is the final. Coming up next at 5:40 local time in Israel, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. We'll speak to you then on YouTube.